Times. Joining us now with the latest happenings on Parliament Hill is Tom Mulcair, CTV News political commentator and former federal NDP leader. Tom, good to be with you as always. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you, Lena.
I know it's been a busy week for you. Let's get right to it. Mark Carney says he's going to travel to Washington on Tuesday to meet with Donald Trump. This is the first time the two leaders will be meeting face to face. What are you watching for?
Well, I'm going to be watching for, of course, the substantial stuff. And we had a bit of an indication that Canada might be moving in the right direction when the United States just announced, and it wasn't top-line news, but that there would be no tariffs on Canadian auto parts. So it seems that Trump and the people around him are starting to twig to the fact that they can't say that they want to renegotiate the Canada-U.S. Mexico deal that Trump wrote and signed, but is not respecting. There's no point in renegotiating anything with Trump if he doesn't respect his signature on the existing deal. So they're starting to figure that out. And they're also starting to figure out that they were hurting the American automobile industry, not helping it by disrupting it the way they had done. So consumers were very much onto the fact that they were going to be paying a lot more for cars because of Trump, and he doesn't want that to be his legacy. So this is working in the right direction. Carney obviously got elected on a promise to be the one who could deal with Trump intelligently, and I'm sure he'll be more than capable on that score. I'm waiting to see on the more formal side, the more detailed side. I'm waiting to see whether or not Carney's going to accept to sit in that dunce chair that we saw Mr. Zelensky sat in and then had, getting harangued by both Trump and his vice president, J.D. Vance. These have become embarrassing events where you listen to King Trump rail and spout nonsense. He was still mentioning today that he subsidizes Canada to the tune of $200 billion. That's demonstrably false, but it would take a proper meeting and the ability to sit down with him to be able to demonstrate, even to him, why that is just not true. So we're going to watch what happens on both levels next week when the two sit down. But I'm very confident that the person to be able to deal with Trump is indeed Mark Carney.
All eyes on that visit, Tom, that's for sure. Everybody's trying to figure out what the relationship is between Donald Trump and Mark Carney. The U.S. president recently referred to Carney as a very nice gentleman. The Conservatives have a lot to say about that. How do you interpret those comments?
I interpret those comments on the first level. Simple acknowledgement of the fact that Mark Carney is a gentleman. He is deeply experienced at these matters. And Donald Trump, if you recall, during the pandemic, Donald Trump always tends to be a little bit careful the minute he knows he's dealing with people who actually know a lot more than he does about something. Do you recall the time Donald Trump was telling people that they should be pumping Javix into themselves as a possible solution for the COVID-19 pandemic? And you remember how foolish he looked, but he kept looking over his shoulder to the doctors and the scientists beside him saying, don't contradict me. This is my thought for the day. This is pure Donald Trump. He doesn't know a lot about the economy. He figures that going back to a solution that was thought to be great over a century ago that's been proven wrong, i.e. countries imposing tariffs on their trading partners instead of going with the flow and having things made in the place where it's the most efficient and everybody benefiting from it, which is a modern view of economics. Trump doesn't understand any of that. Carney understands it implicitly and in every detail. So he's got to be careful not to school Trump, but he's also got to be very clear that Canada is a sovereign nation. We're not even going to talk about 51st state. And if there's any mention of it, I have a feeling that Carney would walk.
Okay, interesting. The other story a lot of Canadians are talking about, Pierre Poilievre trying to find his way back to the House of Commons after losing his seat. We're now learning he's going to run in a pretty safe Conservative riding in Alberta. I haven't talked to you since Monday night's results, so let me begin by asking you, are you surprised that Pierre Poilievre is staying on, that he's not facing pressure from his own party?
Well, he doesn't get to decide if he's staying on. He is going to, of course, face a vote by his party members, and he should be acknowledging that more than he has so far. Neither he nor Andrew Scheer, his right-hand man, seem to acknowledge the fact that this is a party decision. What he's going to be able to do, though, is get himself back into the House of Commons, something that was denied him by the voters in his Carleton riding on Monday night. Now, I found it a rare sign of utmost loyalty on the part of Mr. Couric, the newly re-elected, because he was elected in 19 and 21, and he just got elected this week. Talk about a safe riding. Oh, he got over 80% of the vote for the Conservatives. So there's probably not a safer riding in Canada for Mr. Poilievre to run in. And Mr. Couric is not only abandoning his seat in the House of Commons, Commons. He's abandoning a pension that he would have had locked in October. So incredible loyalty there, something quite admirable, frankly. What I also found very admirable was Mark Carney saying in his press, discussions today in his scrum, he said, "Look, I'm not going to play political games with this," because he could have waited for the beginning of Parliament, waited for things to start. He could have waited 6 months to give a date for Poilievre, and then he could have waited months and months after that. He said, "No, there's not going to be any games. If there's somebody who steps down, I'm going to call the by-election as soon as possible." Now, Mr. Couric can't actually resign until he gets sworn in, which will take a few weeks because, of course, you have to have everybody sworn in as MPs. And once that's done, then he'll be able to say, okay, I'm resigning that seat. But I thought it was a display of good sportsmanship and a willingness to be just a fair political adversary on the part of Carney. And it's interesting. It's not the type of thing that we've seen often in Canadian politics.
Yeah, Mark Carney made that very clear today. Tom Mulcair, CTV News political commentator and former federal NDP leader. Good to be with you as always. Thanks so much.
Great to see you, Lena. All the best.
Take care.